In this series on Ghana's foremost climate scientist, Professor Leonard Amekudzi, we've made you know how a tragic event he witnessed in his early teens urged him to pursue climate science. We've told you also about how he managed to be the first to extract nitrous oxide radicals from the atmosphere. Again, we told you about his contribution to Ghana's rainfall forecasting. So, I guess that is all, right? Now, knowing how malaria is transmitted is crucial in the disease control. For a while, the Liverpool malaria model has been one of the formidable models for this purpose. However, it took care of only large water bodies. But we are all aware how a small pool can be a great source of malaria outbreak. This is where Professor Leonard Amekudzi entered the scene.
We set up stations. I have a station at Owabi. I have a full weather station, and then continue to put a station at Agogo, and then put a station also at airport, and then at the same time I expand my station to also cover Emina to have a station, because the hospital at the time we were working with is that we were looking at Emina Hospital. We're also looking at Nkawie. We're also looking at Agogo Hospital, and then looking at Emina. These were the hospitals that we were working with, and then Menchia. So we expected the station at the airport, which is close to Menchia. We use the data from the airport for Menchia, Agogo we use. So these were the things, and around the time the model that we were using was called Liverpool malaria model. And this model, if you look at it, the model really was having a model that was developed not within the African context. So the understanding of malaria by then the European colleagues who really developed the model, the model was taking care of only a large volume of water. I mean, you can imagine the model only looking at malaria coming from our main rivers, for example, around if you are not around the streams and rivers, maybe around River Pra, Volta, and all others. But as we lived in this place, we are very much aware that even within the community, very small water bodies are likely to be sources for malaria. When these ideas we started having interaction, it was very clear that we need to modify the model. In fact, so then we decide to work on with a colleague from Italy. At the time he was in, I think he's still there. It's ICTP. The ICTP is the International Center for Theoretical Physics. That institute is interesting. So all these ideas started at one line. So we started that, okay, we need to carry our measurement activity in Kumasi. Possibly that will help us develop a best hydrological base for the Liverpool. But later on, the idea changed that Adrian Tompkins, who is in ICTP I mentioned, this time wants to look at a new model altogether. And then he came out with the idea of veterinary. And so the veterinary model was initially developed, taking idea what we have shared. But in fact, the pooled size that was used was also quite cost. So therefore, we needed a ground base to really validate this. As a result, we finally developed the hydrological base for the veterinary, and this hydrological base actually take into consideration a true measurement base for measurement base that have information, water temperature from the ground. We also looked at the ponds that we size. During that time, we fed this water sent to the KCCR. KCCR also checked, and they are able to have provide information to us whether these have mosquito larvae or not. And so based on all this, we finally came out to develop what we call the pond hydrological scheme for veterinary. We also developed the water temperature scheme for the veterinary. That has and then these schemes was so validated, and then when implemented in veterinary, tend to compared very well with observations from the hospital and even around when we simulated the disease. So eventually means that we have contributed extensively in veterinary development, and currently as I speak, veterinary is one of the top malaria early warning detecting tool that is being used across Africa. We have the scheme being the model being run in East Africa, Uganda. You have it run in Australia. You have it even run in some Asian countries.